to Data Pandit. Today we are going to talk about 3 to 4 scenarios, simple scenarios, but they can be helpful while going into some interview, right? If anybody going directly to interviews, they can explore and see, so that they can remember easily. So first of all, the scenario is we just we have a one record, and that record have uh, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, right? And the output is why we think or interviewer asks this question is to test your, application skill, how best you can utilize the Abinitio component for solving any particular, scenario. So these are the, mock-up scenarios, but in practical, you may face these scenarios while solving any business problem, right? So let's see, I mean, how we can achieve it. So one record. So while observing this input and output, we can see that we are producing multiple record out of one record. This is one observation. So if we think of this kind of scenarios, then we just think of normalized components, because normalized allows us to create multiple record out of one record, right? So this is first observation. Okay, and the second observation is all the similar alphabets, right, is in the first record. So we would need some kind of sorting or something, or we want to aggregate based on some particular, based on some key, so that all the same record would same alphabet comes in one record, and then other same record in next record, and so on, right? So this we can handle using the some kind of roll up, right? And then we could produce these kind of record, right? So first we are going to produce is like we need to normalize it. So normalize would give us, every single record in one alphabet in every single record. Then after we can supply the into the roll up. Okay. So roll up can sort in memory, so that we can use, or otherwise we can sort it and then supply to the norm roll up. Okay. If yes, so this is how we can achieve, normalize. We can split the string based on some comma, because we have a comma in between these alphabets, right? So this is how we can achieve. This is a rough coding. It may not be working in the actual roll up or actual normalize, but the whole idea is like we need to have a length function, and length will be depending upon this input and comma, and then normalize and index would be like it. You can it may not compile properly, but probably maybe there's some syntax issue or something that you can solve when you do practical. So this first scenario. Second scenario is like we have an input, right, and what will be the output is like the requested output is like this. So we have 11, 14, 15, these kind of records we have. And while looking at this record, right, the first observation is these numbers are the output is consecutive, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So all the input record are getting used in output, and also there is an order. So we would need some kind of sorting, right? We need some sorting, and then we will try to produce this kind of record. And maybe we would need to use the roll up also, because there is a less number of record in the output. Some kind of accumulation or some kind of aggregation we need to do, right? So the first observation is sort. We need to sort it. Okay, sort the sort this field because it's one field, right? And then so after sorting, we will have a record, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 18, 20. These kind of sequence would be there. Then there will be a roll up with the null key. If we supply everything with null key to the roll up, the roll up will consider all the data, complete data set as a one record. So therefore, we can produce this kind of record, this kind of one record, right? 11, 12, 13, 14. This kind of output we can generate when we collect the output from the roll up, right? And then after we can supply this input to the normalize while calculating the length is like string in dot input comma separated and divide by 2. Why divide by 2 is because we are utilizing two consecutive number in one record, and then the next two consecutive number in another record, and so on. Therefore, the total number of elements divided by 2 would be the total number of output records is expected, right? So therefore we are having the length function, and the length the length value would be like, a total number of records divided by 2. I mean, total number of elements, I should say. That's how we can use it. And the C, the scenario number third is going. We have an input, right? Let's say we have department and in a revenue kind of information, and we are seeing that the department ID is missing. I can see that there is an 137 department IDs, and their revenues are listed, and we are so the expected output is like, let me copy from here and I will place it here. Okay, so the expected output is like, we can see that they are filling the gaps, and also they are when while filling the gaps, okay, from first record to the next record, they are utilizing the revenue which was, for the previous record, right? So for 1 to 2, they don't, because there is no department ID 2, so they are utilizing the revenue of department until and unless they are not receiving the, revenue from the particular department. They are utilizing their previous department revenue. That's what we can observe, right? So therefore, so first observation is we need to produce, we need to fill the gaps is the first observation. Second is we need to utilize the revenue of the previous department while producing the multiple record, right? And we can see there are multiple records are going to be created. So normalize is sure and certain, and we need to have some kind of scanning. So that's these things we can think of currently while looking at the data. So let's see how we are going to solve it. So first we are going to use the scan component, and also the key would be department ID for sure for the scan, and we are going to have two or three temporary, three temporary variables, temporary type. So within temporary type, I will have three, three fields, three temporary variable like gap, previous day, revenue, and previous department ID. So I will scan these record and I will produce these three, these three fields basically. So for first record, the gap is 1. So how I will calculate the gap is 1 department ID 1 minus, because I don't have anything for first, 1 minus 0. Okay. So in the previous day, previous department ID, I would say 0. Okay. While initializing in the initialize function, I can say it is in 0. Temp dot previous department ID is 0. Okay. And temp dot gap is also 0. Temp dot previous day revenue, I can say it is in 0. Okay. So these three I can assign in for the first record. Okay. So the output of the scan for the first record is going to be 191, 1 minus 0, 1, and 0 I am already assigned and not applicable. Previous department ID is not applicable for this. Okay. For second record, my gap is 2. 3 minus 1 is going to be 2, right? And 90 previous day revenue 90. I saved it in the previous day revenue temporary variable. So I'm assigning the 90, and previous department ID is 1. You can see, right? Similarly, for the third record, I will have the revenue and I have the gap is 4, right? 7 minus 3, 4. And the previous revenue is 30th. We know that, right? And the previous department ID is 3. So this will be collected soon after, or after scanning the record. Now we have the gap. So we know that at this point in time, we know that we are going to create one record, and this point in time we know that because we have a gap of 2, so we need to create 2 record, right? And for this point in time, we know that we need to create 4 record. So total how many record? 4 plus 2 plus 1. 7 record we are going to create. So we can see that there are 7 records. So we also have a 7 record, right? 1, 2, and 4. 4 plus 2, 6 and 7. So now we know that how many records we are going to create. The assignment of revenue and everything else would be we are handling in the normalized transform. Okay. Now let's pass this data into the normalized. So normalized length is going to be 1, 2, 4 for these consecutive record. For first record, because it's in 1, so everything will be created as it is. For the second record, so when we come here, then how we are going to create the department. So department ID would be created based on the previous department ID. So for this record, previous department ID is 1, right? So we are going to increment 1 plus 1, okay? So 2, right? And then 1 plus 2, 3. So these two records are going to be created, okay? So while creating 2 and 3 records, right? So for this, there will be a revenue 30. We need to see, so while assigning the revenue, right? So for assigning the revenue, for the last record, we are assigning, we will calculate for the last record, right? We are going to assign the revenue, which is there in the current record, and but for the previous, for the previous record, we are going to assign the revenue from the previous day revenue. Okay, this we need to take care. So this we can handle in the if condition. Okay. If it is a last record to be produced, then only we will assign the current revenue. Otherwise, there will be a previous revenue we are going to repeat. In the if condition, we can handle this. And whenever we come to this third record, similarly we can produce 3 record, right? 4, 5, 6 records we are going to produce for the revenue of 30. 30 is the revenue which was there in the previous record, and for the last record we are going to these 4 records we are going to create. We know that, right? For the fourth record we are going to utilize the revenue of current record, or the rest of initial 3 record we are going to utilize the revenue of the previous record, right? This is how we are going to achieve this basically. So you can think of, and you can try to implement. Okay, and now let's come to the last scenario for the today. So input we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and output is like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So the observation is, first observation is, we are rolling up the things. I mean, we are producing less number of records out of more number of records, right? This is first thing. So we will have kind of roll up, right? Okay. So yeah, roll up, and so we can pass everything in the roll up, and we can concatenate it. We can produce the concatenated out. We can concatenate this one 1 2 3 4, right? 5 6 7 8. So after rolling up, if we supply null key, then every complete data set is considered as a one input record, and then the output of the rollup would be concatenation of every record. Then we can produce the using the normalize, we can produce. So mostly, if you look at these all the scenarios, mostly rollup and normalize is uh, enough to solve any scenario basically. So if I were to say, so normalized length would be like you can calculate the length. Let me simply say that total number of elements modulus 4, right? So those many number of equals to 0. Okay, these many number of records we have to create. So you can think of there are multiple ways of doing it. Okay, you can think of, and you can produce the result. Now uh, the summary of the thing is, like, we can utilize normalize, roll up. Most of the scenario will be solved by normalize and roll up. Maybe sort, sometimes dedupe sort. Okay, dedupe sorted, or maybe we can Scan, right? Third thing, roll up, scan, sort, normalize, dedupe, some reformat. Maybe in the reformat we will have output index and output indexes. So these 4 to 5 components, right? And create data if we have to create some number of records, right? So these are the basically some components. Join for sure. So the and maybe some fuse components sometimes, and these many components, they can solve multiple some 70 to 80% of scenarios basically. So you can master all these components, and probably the thing is runtime behavior of these components is at most important, so that they can you know any scenarios while solving, you can you won't be stuck in while solving and while applying the scenario. So thank you so much. Please subscribe my channel, and you can share it with others if it is helpful.